Hey, welcome to the Monday Reset. I'm excited to be joining you here. Do me a favor while we're first I'm just going to find myself here on the group. But if you're here live with us, comment below so I can actually see you. And then at some point, if you guys have questions, I will see the questions in the group. And if you're watching the replay, comment replay. When you make comments on my videos, it helps it show up in the algorithm so others can see it too. So I'm trying to find myself. Here I am. All right. So we are going to continue our conversation today that we started last week. So branding, it's one of my favorite topics. It's one of my favorite subjects. It's one of the things that I love most about being a realtor. My previous life, I worked at a marketing firm, a marketing agency, and I learned a ton while I was there. I was there for like 18 years. And just my favorite part about business, and this is maybe why I'm so passionate about helping others with their businesses, is that the marketing piece is so fun for me. Like, I just love that. So anyway, we are on week 2 of our 4-week branding series called Known Equals Paid. What you're known for matters more than how much you post. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And some of us, I feel like we show up, we're posting, and we're trying to be consistent, and still we're not getting business. And even for me, for those of you that have been following me for any length of time, you know I'm posting 10 times a day over all my platforms. I actually did a live training on that. Actually, it was probably in September or October of last year. So it might be time to do a refresher on that after we finish this branding series. But with posting consistently, even though I'm getting about 1.1 million views every 28 days, which is absurd amount of views, it doesn't mean that I got business right away. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is building that consistency and what to do when you feel like you're consistent, but the business is not showing up. So that is one thing. I have a video coach, and I started working with my video coach 2 years ago. And after the first year, I kept saying, like, when is this going to work for me? Like, when is this going to happen? When am I going to get my first clients? Why isn't this working? And right away, of course, she's like, well, are you posting at least one video a day? Are you doing one reel a day? And the answer was no. Like, I had to just be honest with myself and be like, no, I wasn't being consistent. So I started posting 10 times a day in August, and it's just exploded. I mean, I'm getting calls from my videos. Like, I know they're telling me they saw my video on social media. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is because I think as agents, like, we're throwing spaghetti at the wall. We're putting it all out there. We feel like we're being consistent and nothing happens. So, it's not going to happen overnight. It's like neighborhood farming digitally. It's like if you were going to tell me, Jill, I'm going to send postcards to my neighborhood that I live in. It's probably going to take you easily 6 to 8 months, maybe even a year before you get your first client in the neighborhood. So that's what we're going to talk about with social media, is kind of the same way. You're not going to get a client right away in your first week. So that's what we have to just keep in mind. It's not because you're not trying. It's because no one knows what you actually do. And we're putting all of it out there, but no one really knows what we're doing. We're visible, but we're not memorable. So that is the thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to branding, and how do we make ourselves memorable. So, you're posting your listings, you're posting quotes, you're posting random life updates, but no one's connecting to anything. So it's like you don't have a consistency problem, you have more of a clarity problem. So is it clear to your viewers what you do or who you help? One of my coaching clients is focusing on downsizing, which is a great niche, and it's perfectly suited for this person. And one of the things that we talked about in his last coaching call was like, are you, when you're showing up on social media, are you talking to that specific audience? Because if I'm wanting to focus on first-time home buyers or downsizing sellers, I can't be speaking about buyers if I'm trying to attract sellers, if that makes sense. So when you're putting your message out there to the universe, you're actually looking for sellers, if that's truly what you want. On this morning's Rise and Ramp call that we do every morning, one of them said that she felt like her buyer pool was very, very slim. And I'm like, well, do you miss having a full buyer pool, or do you prefer to work with sellers? Because if you're truly looking to attract buyers, we should be speaking to buyers when we do our content, for sure, on social media. So just something to think about. Like if you hate buyers and you'd rather work a seller, then you have to be careful about what you're saying to the universe, right? Like, you know, if you want to attract sellers, we have to put content out there that's going to attract a seller. So anyway, something to think about. Okay, so this is the other thing. People don't refer kind of everything agents. It's like, we always say, like, if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none, right? When you are trying to do 12 things at once, you just suck at everything, right? Well, it's kind of the same thing here. If people are going to refer me and I'm a downsizing specialist or I'm a specialist with first-time home buyers, they need to know that about me. Or let's just say, for instance, commercial real estate. So in my states that I work, Minnesota and Wisconsin, commercial real estate is very different than residential real estate. And I do not practice commercial real estate. I feel like personally for me, I don't want to give like half-assed advice to someone. And there's just not enough commercial real estate deals around here for me to really want to even go there. So I'm not going to talk about it. If the people that follow me on social media, like if I was working commercial, I would do more videos talking about leases and, you know, rents and all that stuff, but that's not who I'm wanting to attract. So that's the thing we also have to keep in mind is they're going to refer agents that they can describe in one sentence. So think about like what you're known for. Can they describe what you do in one sentence? And for my coaching client that I was talking about, who is focusing on downsizing, he's kind of becoming known for being, oh yeah, that's right. That's the downsizing guy. That's the realtor that specializes in downsizing. So he's kind of over time, because of the way he's speaking in his content, he's starting to become known for that, which is also really cool as well. So, you know, when you kind of put it all out there and you're kind of helping everyone, that's when like your business is inconsistent. People are not necessarily referring you. Your content kind of feels all over the place. If people can't explain what you do, they're going to have a hard time sending you business, or they might not be sending you as much business because, you know, it's so interesting that how specific we have to get with people. So I think of it this way. Okay, so in my St. Croix Valley Girls group, we have a Mary Kay person who sells Mary Kay. And that would be like, and I'm just using her as an example. This lady has never done this, but this would be like if she came to the St. Croix Valley Girls networking meeting and said, I'm just looking for anyone in the world with skin. Like, who is she talking to? Like, if your target or your avatar is that broad, you're really kind of talking to no one, because like everyone is not your target audience. And if you don't sort of pin down who your avatar is, you're not really going to appeal to anyone, or no one's going to remember you, because they're not going to remember, oh yeah, that Mary Kay lady, she helps everyone with skin. Like, no, that's not it. Like, we need to get specific, right? Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what it should look like. That's visibility. Like, visibility without clarity is just noise, right? It's just random noise. People are like, I'm posting random stuff. I have no message. I have no identity. I'm showing up, but right now I'm just kind of showing up all over the place. Nobody really knows. And this can also be like when you're multiple things or you wear multiple hats. It's kind of like, well, there's some people in my community that I'm like, okay, every time I see them on social media, they're peddling a new product, or they're trying to be something new this week. And it's like, okay, well, last week you were a life coach. This week you're selling doTERRA, or, and it just gets really confusing, and you don't know how to refer them, because it's like, well, is people who like essential oil your audience, or, and life coaching, like that can be really, the word life coach, like, what does that really mean? That's not specific enough to know like who you are. So anyway, that's what I mean by when you're not clear about who you are, it makes being visible and being memorable really hard. So if I called one of I see Lisa's watching. If I called one of your past clients right now, what would they say that you're known for? So we all have something in the community like that we're known for. That's the beauty. If you're doing it the right way, that question should be somewhat easy to answer. So guess what I did before I hopped on? I went and talked to my best friend, Chatty, or as I would call him, Frankie. My Chatty's name is Frankie. And I said, based on what you know about me, everything I've built, if I asked someone in my community what I'm known for, what would they say? So I'm going to tell you what I got back. She's the connector. You are the person who knows everyone, introduces everyone, and creates rooms where stuff happens. Not just networking for the sake of it, but you build strategic relationships. People probably associate you with St. Croix Valley Girls, Baubles and Bubbles, events in the community. If Jill knows them, they're legit. That's a very powerful brand lane. That's what it told me. Number 2 is she knows her shit in real estate, and it actually says that. You're not seen as a beginner coach or someone trying to be relevant. You're experienced, you're battle tested, someone who's actually done all the things. People trust that if you say something, it's not theory. But here's the truth that you might not love. This is strong, but it's expected at your level. It's not what makes you stand out. It's not what makes me stand out. Number 3 is she's fun, she's real, and a little sassy. And I don't know if I'm sassy or not, but apparently chat thinks I'm sassy. This is a big one. You are not stiff, corporate, overly polished. People feel like they could actually talk to you. You're going to tell them the truth. You're not going to BS them. This makes you magnetic. Number 4, she's always doing something. Now we're getting into the danger zone. People probably see events, coaching, content, community groups, real estate, and their takeaway is she's busy and involved in a lot of things. There is a problem there, though. It says that does not equal clarity. So Chad is kind of telling me that I might be a little bit all over the place. It could quietly translate to, I'm not totally sure what her main thing is. I know she does a lot, but I don't know what to buy from her. So that is the other thing. Am I putting it very clearly that I still sell real estate, that I coach agents? Like, I need to be more clear about what I'm doing. And then the last thing, number 5, is she helps people grow. I'm known in the community is for helping other women grow their businesses. Whether it's women business owners, real estate agents, local businesses, people see you as someone who elevates others. That's your actual core identity. Now, here's the part you need to hear. You are known for a lot of good things, but not one dominant thing. That's a problem. Like, I have to fix that. And that's exactly why you feel scattered and overwhelmed, because your brand reflection looks like this. I'm a connector, I'm an event host, I'm a realtor, I'm a coach, I'm a content creator, and I am a community builder. That's not a brand, that's a resume. I learned through this process of teaching you guys that I have some really serious work to do on my own stuff. The move, I don't need to do less necessarily, but I do need to decide on everything that it points to. I need to decide what it points to. Right now, nothing clearly does. If I forced you into a corner, your strongest, most monetizable identity is I help agents grow their business faster using real-world strategies and relationships. Everything should feed that. So that is interesting. Hopefully, by you guys, listening to me read that to you, it kind of gave you some insight into, I'm someone that posts 10 times a day. I have my 5 buckets of content that I post in. I thought I kind of had my brand dialed in, but this is kind of like the test for me to say, like, Jill has some own work to do on my own branding stuff. So you guys might want to go to visit with your friend chat and ask the same question I did. And for those of you that just joined me, the question that I asked chat was, I basically said, based on what you know about me today and everything that I do, if someone in my community, if I asked someone in my community what I'm known for, what would their answer be? And it spilled all this stuff about me, about what I'm known for. And I almost wish I would have added on here when I put the prompt in to not sugarcoat it, because I kind of think sometimes like AI wants to please us, wants us to be happy. So a lot of times when I'm interacting with it, I will actually say, don't sugarcoat it. Like, give me the real down and dirty, even if you think I might not like it. And if I put an idea into chat, I will put after it, if this idea sucks, tell me it sucks. Don't tell me it's a great idea if it's not a great idea, because it's like, that's not what I need. I mean, it might make me feel good if, I have a grand new idea, whether it's for my real estate business or my coaching business or whatever, and I put it in there and chat's just like, blowing smoke up my you-know-what, telling me how great it is. Like, I don't need to hear that. I need someone who's going to be really honest with me. So anyway, do that activity, and I would love to hear from you guys, like what your chat says about you. So I'm reading your comments now. So Lisa says, yes, isn't it an eye-opener? Narissa, you just did this. Yours is on point. That's great. Yes, so the prompt, I'll read it one more time. It's basically knowing everything you know about me and what I do. If I ask someone in my community what I'm known for, how would they answer that question? So that's what, after the, Lisa, after the live here, I will type that into the comments so that you can see what the prompt was if you didn't catch it all. So anyway, if I called a past client and they didn't know like what I would, I mean, especially a past client, because I've worked with them before, that would be even worse if they don't know what I'm known for. But if the answer is unclear for me, like that's a problem that I have to fix. So that's something that, you know, we all need to talk about. So they call it like a known for statement. And, you know, the reason they say it's a known for statement is it's like, oh, what would your best friend say you're known for? What would your husband say you're known for? We already kind of talked through that. But that kind of becomes the framework for what some people call it your elevator pitch or your known for statement. And it's basically, it answers 3 questions: who you help, what you help them do, and why it matters. And, you know, you need to be able to do it without, you know, if you're going to a networking meeting and you know, you have a 60 or 90 second elevator pitch, like that's a snooze fest. Like no one's going to want to listen to that. They're going to, while you're talking, they're in their head thinking about what they're going to say when it's their turn to speak. So it needs to be really short. So I'm going to read you mine just so that you can hear it. And while I'm reading it, think about the 3 questions: who I help, what I help them do, and why it matters. I'm Jill McNamee with the McNamee Real Estate Team. I help St. Croix Valley families upgrade or downsize, and I've helped over 1,000 families do it successfully. We use aggressive marketing and social media to get homes sold fast. If you know someone making a move, I'd love an introduction. I answered all 3 of those questions, and that took less than, I think my my elevator pitch is less than 20 seconds long. Because think about, that's why they call it an elevator pitch. If you're in an elevator with someone and you're riding up to the 10th floor, you're not going to have 120 seconds to tell them what you do. And, you know, 2, it's like when you go on and on about I do this, I do that, like, again, you're not focusing on one real thing. I told them, you know, I help families upsize or downsize in the St. Croix Valley. I've done it over 1,000 times in my career. And we use aggressive marketing and social media to get our homes sold fast. That's all they need to know are those 3 things. So, again, if you guys need to revisit your elevator pitch, just make sure that you're answering those 3 questions so people can get clear on what you do. You know, some examples could be I help growing families find homes with more spaces so that they can actually enjoy life again. I help homeowners sell. It could be I help homeowners sell and move up without the stress of juggling 2 homes. Number 3 example could say, I help people relocate to Hudson, Wisconsin, so they can feel confident about the move. Like, whatever it is, but if I cannot say it simply enough, like, Lisa will not remember it. Narissa might not remember it. Like, this is the other thing, like, if you're not specific enough and short enough, and it goes back to my daily revenue routine, like the daily plan that I just preach and preach and preach over. If you have 25 things on it, you're not going to use it. It's not going to be consistent for you. So with your elevator pitch, like if Christina's working on an elevator pitch and it's so long that I can't remember it, like I'm not going to know like who, if I want to give Christina a referral, and Christina, I'm just picking on you. But like it needs to be short enough that people will remember us. So just keep that in mind when you're creating your elevator pitch. If it's not simple, people are not going to repeat it. And then repetition beats recognition, right? This is where most of us self-sabotage because agents think, well, I already said that once. I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want to say the same thing over and over and sound like a broken record. No, but no one remembers. No one's tracking my content. So honestly, in fact, Kim and I were talking on her one-on-one coaching call just a half hour ago about this, because we were talking about how do you, when you get busy with life and files and, Kim's selling a lot of real estate, like, how do you be consistent with what you're posting on social media? And I said, you repurpose content. I mean, think of it this way. When you think about repetition, think about Coke and Pepsi. Now think about Mr. Pibb and Fanta, or whatever it's called, Orange Crush, or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be Mr. Pibb. I want to be Coke or Pepsi. And, yes, you think about like repetition over and over and over, but studies will say, I think people need to hear you say something like, I feel like it's like 16 or 18 times before they actually buy from you. So if you think you're being repetitive, you probably are. But the other thing is your audience is going to be different each time. Like, I might see Lisa's content on social media today, but I might not see whatever she's posting next week. So, if you think about it, what I'm posting today, if it's a really valuable post that has good engagement and good views, I should be reposting it like monthly or something and just tweaking it a little bit so that the algorithm knows that it's new. But this is where that repetition is built when you do it over and over and over. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Jill is known for, helping people upsize and downsize. People just over time, they start to know what you're known for. And, clearly for me, in the community, I built my business off St. Croix Valley Girls, having a networking group. And so I'm very known in the community for that, for elevating other women business owners, partnering with other local business owners. And that's just my brand. That's just who I am. But according to the conversation that I just had with Chat, is all of that is true. But are people seeing me for all of that, and they're forgetting that first and foremost, I'm still a realtor? So that's what I need to internally work on and go back to Chat and just make sure that people are still realizing that. So if you think about it this way, like, no one's keeping track of your content. So if Narissa posts something today, and I see it, and then next week she posts something that's very similar or the same, I'm not going to be like, oh, she just posted that last week, she's being repetitive. No, like, no one's gonna do that. No one's gonna notice. Like, a week's gonna go by. We all have so honestly, the repetition, when it's like, if you're bored of it, they're just starting to notice it. So write that down. When you're bored, they're just starting to notice it. It's like over and over and over. So if you say something once, it gets ignored. If you say it 5 times, it starts to get noticed. If you say it 20 times, people start to remember it. Repetition is how you become known. That's what you become known for. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about being clear versus being broad, and how you sort of go deep on this. So some of you're trying to help everyone. That's why no one remembers us, is we're trying to just help everyone. So, if I say I help buyers and sellers with all their real estate needs, is that memorable? No, not really, because it's pretty much obvious. If I say, yeah, I'm a realtor, people are going to know I help buyers and sellers with their real estate needs. If I say I help first-time home buyers navigate the process without feeling overwhelmed, now I'm talking. Now I'm getting specific. Now I'm putting a message in your brain that says, oh, tomorrow when I'm talking to my cousin on the phone and she said she's helping her best friend get ready to sell, like that's memorable, right? So clear beats clever every time, and clear beats being broad every time. Like when you're clear and you're specific about it, that's when people start to remember. So your content and your conversations must match. What I mean by that is if your content says one thing and your conversation says another, people are confused, okay? So again, it's like if you want to work with first-time home buyers, but if I'm telling people that I see locally, oh yeah, I'm a first-time home buyer specialist, and then all of a sudden they see me on the internet posting, if you're thinking about downsizing your house, here's my downsizing guide. Like my branding message that I'm putting out into the universe is so different than what I'm doing locally here. It's confusing for people. I swear to God, you guys, I had a lady come to my networking meeting, St. Croix Valley Girls. She attended for probably 10 years straight. And we had multiple conversations about this because by the time she retired, we had become pretty good friends. And I cannot tell you in 10 years what she did for business, what she really did for business. And her business name was Serendipitous Connections. And serendipitous to me means it's kind of like, the universe is aligning to connect two people to somehow do business together. But I was always kind of confused by it. And me and her had several conversations about it. And I was like, okay, are you a marketing person? Do you get paid to connect people? Like, what do you really do? So that's the other thing. And this too, because we're all realtors, we're not going to have names of our businesses called Serendipitous Connections. But I just met with a gal the other day. Her business name was Kind Nest, like kind and then like a bird's nest. And her business it's kind of along the lines of professional organizing, but she's kind of the concierge where like she'll help them have an estate sale. She'll help them get connected with people with dumpsters. She does the whole thing, almost kind of like a move manager. And I said, well, when we were talking about it, she was kind of picking my brain. People do that a lot in the area when they say they want to meet for coffee, to pick my brain. And I said to her, well, if I didn't know you, would I know what you do based on the name of your business? So I said, when people look at your business card and they see the name of your business is Kind Nest, that doesn't really tell them who you are. And people in the world today, we're all busy. Like each one of you probably have kids, you have husbands, you have families, you're busy doing this, you're busy doing that. If I can't in 3 seconds figure out what your business is based on a business card, you're not getting a referral. You're not getting any business. I am not going to go online and search for you. I am not going to hunt you down. We don't have time for that. So, I'm just using her company as an example, but this goes back to all of our branding, and that like if we're not, again, when we look at our Instagram profile, our Facebook profile, if I go to any one of you, and I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to pick on you guys. I haven't searched any of your profiles, but if I go there and your phone number is not listed in the area that you serve and that you're a realtor are not visible on my phone when I pull your Facebook or Instagram profile up, you are missing out. That is the first thing that you should get out of today's lesson is Go back, check your Instagram, check your Facebook. If it doesn't say Jill McNamee, realtor, coach, Hudson, Wisconsin, areas I serve, Hudson, Wisconsin, Twin Cities Metro or Minnesota, states of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and my phone number, I'm missing out. People are not going to hunt me down. They're just not going to. So that is step number one. Make sure you go back and check to make sure you have all of your stuff filled in. Okay. All right. So everything should align. What you post, what you say, what people repeat about you. So this is, again, I do not want to be on Facebook putting one message out for sellers and then over on Instagram doing buyer conversations. It's same with if you go to any of my social posts, you'll see that my headshot. It's, the one I'm wearing, I think a brown blazer. It's probably time I should change that, change it up a little bit, but I hesitate changing it because when I'm in other Facebook groups and stuff, people that are following me, they're recognizing me wearing that brown blazer. So if I change my headshot every week, people might not recognize me. Again, going back to like your Facebook profile image, I love a lot of you love to highlight your kids, your family, your dog, your cat, whatever. I mean, some people like their dog is their family. Like, no one wants to go to a realtor's professional Facebook page and see a picture of your dog. Like, we want to know who you are. Can I trust you? And if I go to your Facebook and I see your dog, I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. Like that's one of my buckets for content is I love posting about my pets and rescue animals and whatever. But people need to see my face on my social media because it starts to build trust. So many times I have shown up at the door and they go, oh my gosh, I feel like, I don't even feel like I'm meeting you for the first time. I feel like I already know you because I see you everywhere on social media. That's when I know that I'm becoming Pepsi or Coke and I'm no longer Mr. Pibb. Okay? Our goal should be Coke, Pepsi. The end of story. That's it. All right, so if your message is helping families upgrade homes, your content should reflect it. It should be, content about space, content about lifestyle, content about growing needs. Consistency in your messaging is what builds that trust that I was just talking about. So if I show up as the same way in almost all of my posts, my people are building some trust with them. They're starting to get to know me as a person. And too, I like to think of it this way as like the good, the bad, and the ugly. If I'm having a shitty day, like everybody can relate to that, right? So share it. We all, it's when you try to put out like the perfection that people start to like question like, well, is this really who she is, or is she fakey, or you know what I'm saying? All right. So, I want you to work on this week is writing your elevator pitch or your known for statement. We don't have to obviously do this right now, but don't overthink it. Just start writing. Just sit down with a cup of coffee or tea and start writing. And then ask yourself, is it clear? Is it simple? And could someone easily repeat it? Because that's the key, is it has to be short enough for people to remember it. And then it should be everywhere in your bio, in your conversations, in your social media, when you're networking. It sort of becomes your filter for who you are. So anyway, that's this week's homework. But the other thing is, I feel like some common mistakes are like trying to just sound impressive but not clear. Like, we don't want to do that. We want to just be very clear and simple and not try to impress people, because that's the other thing if people see you one way online and then you show up at the door and you're totally different, like that's when they're really going to question you. Okay. So, don't change your message every week. That's overcomplicating it. Simple scale is easy to scale, where complicated just confuses people. Okay. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and we'll probably touch on this, I don't know if it's next week's or the following weeks as we're wrapping up this branding series, but one of the things that I want you to think about is only 8% of your followers are seeing your content right now. So what that means is it's like, if the algorithm, so let's just say, Christina, I'm going to use you as an example because I see you on the screen. If I'm not seeing what you're posting, Christina, like you're not seeing my stuff. So what I do quite often is I go through my database in Follow Up Boss and I just go through my sphere. And if Christina's in my sphere and her name comes up, and it's like I ask myself the question, like, when was the last time I saw Christina's Facebook stuff? Her social media. I do most of my social media on Facebook. My Facebook and my Instagram are hooked together. But I spend 90% of my time online more on Facebook. But when I'm going through my database, automatically I'm going to everyone's Facebook profile, because when I go to Christina's profile page and I see what she's been posting, I will know, okay, I saw that. Clearly, the algorithm knows that me and Christina are friends. I'm seeing all of her stuff, so she's probably seeing all of mine. Now, on the flip side, if I go to Lisa's page and nothing on Lisa's page looks familiar. Oh, Lisa took her family to Hawaii last week, or Lisa's daughter went off to college a month ago and I never saw it. That clearly means that the algorithm is not showing Lisa my stuff. So I purposely will go on an old post of Lisa's and I will start commenting. And then I'll go back a couple posts and I'll comment, because the minute I comment on Lisa's stuff, the algorithm is like, oh, Jill and Lisa are friends. Jill just posted comments on Lisa's post, so I'm going to show Lisa Jill's content. And that is the cycle of social media and basically waking up the algorithm. Because if we don't do that, like, the same 8% of our following is going to see our stuff. You have to be very purposeful about how you're reaching out to people that you want to stay in touch with. And the easiest way I have found to do it is I go one by one through my sphere of influence. Like when I'm lead generating, if I want to do my lead gen through Facebook and not making phone calls, I'm going to go through my database one by one and then hop over to Facebook and see, like, oh, I'm going to see what Narissa's been up to. Oh, I'm going to see what, Lisa's been up to, and just checking and then commenting on their stuff, because otherwise the algorithm will not be refreshed and Narissa might never see my stuff, if that makes sense. I'm going to just check for a minute, see if I have any questions as we go. Okay, so Lisa said, I asked, based on everything that I've shared, what you as a past client say, my ideal client and what I'm known for. Yes, that's the prompt. Oh, Lisa, your ideal client is not just a buyer or seller. Lisa works best with people who are ready for their next level. I love that. They don't just need a realtor, they need a strategist. Knowing what I personally know about Lisa, I believe that to be true. That's good. Strategic positioning queen. Yes. the transition specialist. Lisa, do you feel like that was pretty spot on? I know you can't answer, but you can. Oh, she does. This is me. That's good. Christina says, my chat's response, LOL, I need to live up to chat's view of me. Christina is the go-to realtor who actually takes care of people, especially military families. Okay. See, I love this, you guys. This is what I'm talking about. Yes. Like we gotta get clear on who we are. So the other great thing about what you guys are learning when you're putting that prompt into chat is how to use this. Like, now ask chat, based on this answer that you just gave me, like, how do I get these traits that chat sees in me? How do I get that out into the community without sounding like I'm bragging? And chat will come up with a whole, it'll come up with a whole 30-day content plan for you if you want it to. So that's the other beautiful thing about it is, now that you have the answer that chat gave you about that, ask it, okay, now that you gave me this, how should I use this for my branding and for my marketing? Okay. So, just think about that. Take that next step, do that as your homework for this week and see what you get. And then, let me know. But, at the end of the day, if people can't describe what you do easily, they're not going to refer you. If they're confused, again, going back to that woman that I knew for 10 years, and I really wanted to give her a referral. Like I liked her. We actually became good friends. I trusted her, but it was so confusing on who her ideal client was. Like no one could give her referrals. So it taught me a really big lesson in that. So I don't know if you guys have read the book called Positioning, the Battle for Your Mind. It's by Jack Reese. It's Reese and Trout is the authors. I think it's Jack Reese and something Trout. But anyway, it's one of my favorite books. It talks about the positioning in a person's mind. And when I gave the example of Coke and Pepsi, it's kind of like, think about it this way. If I cut myself, I'm going to ask for a Band-Aid, not an adhesive strip. If I need to blow my nose, I'm going to ask for a Kleenex, not a tissue. If I need peanut butter, I'm going to ask for Skippy or probably Jif maybe, but I'm probably not going to ask for Smucker's peanut butter. So that is the thing. Branding is so important, and making sure that like you're showing up in a way. We'd love to have you join us there. We meet on Wednesdays at 1:00. So if you want more information on that, let me know, put a comment below. And if you watch this later on the replay, make sure that you comment below replay so that the algorithm will pick up my video and more people will watch. And if you have agent friends that might enjoy being a part of our group, feel free to invite them in. So awesome. Everybody have a great week. If you're part of Rise and Ramp Club, I'll see you in the morning.